Okay, so I actually had this recorded, but for whatever reason the audio didn't work, so I'm going to talk through my work. So the first one says f plus g of 4 is 1. So what f plus g of 4 means f of 4 plus g of 4. So what you do is you look, okay, when is f 4? F is 4 and the y value is -1, hence it's -1. And then you say, okay, well, what about g of 4? So we look at g of 4, and we see g of 4 is 2, right? And then we just solve. So that gives me 1. When you see the dot means multiply. Now, what's really important, there's a difference between when it's open versus a dot. Dot means multiplication, so this means f of 1 times g of 1. So I say, well, when f is 1, it's -2. And when g is 1, it's -7. And then we multiply -2 times -7, and that gives me 14. Okay. In C, we have, where did I do C? Oh, right, I wrote it right here. Okay. So in C, you can see that it's f over g of 0 means f of 0 divided by g of 0. And so what that means is you're going to look for where f is 0. F is 0 is 4. So since that's why you have a 4 here. And then you're going to say, well, when is g 0? G is 0, it's 1. And then 4 over 1 is 4. Now, what does this mean? This is pronounced f of g of 2. And so what that means is that you're doing g first. You figure out what g of 2 is, and then you apply that to f. So what is g of 2? So you go here and you say, well, g of 2 is 0. So then instead of g of 2, I plug in 0, and I'm solving for f of 0. So what does that mean? Then I go to f of 0, and that's 4. So f of 0 equals 4. So you're just finding the x value that corresponds. Just remember, you always start with PEMDAS, you always start with the innermost. Okay. So E is more of the same. You're just starting with f of -1. So you're just starting with the f. So when f is -1, it's 3. So notice that f of -1 now becomes 3. And then g of 3 is saying, hey, well, when x is 3, what's y? Y is -1. Y is -1. F of 3 is cute, so I did this one over here. You start with f of 3, so you say, hey, well, what's f of 3? F of 3 is 2. So note, now it's 2. And you say, okay, well, what's f of 2? So now I go over to 2, and I say, hey, it's 6. So it's 6. So f of 2 is 6. This is kind of funny how it's scattered. This now says you've gone back to like subtraction. So f minus g. So that means f of 3 minus g of 3. So we just figure out when f is 3, it's 2. When g is 3, it's -1. So you have 2 minus -1. Watch the signs. That's a plus. It gives me 3. The last one's a little trickier. It's asking you to find what x is, and it's telling you initially what the y is. It's saying y is 6. So remember, f of g of x means f of g of x, and it's telling you it's equal to 6. So we're reversing the process. So we're starting with, we need to figure out what value of f gives me 6. So what we're doing is we're looking at the y, and we're saying, what value of f is 6? Well, we know when f of x is 6, it's when x is 2. So that means this value must be 2. So you're looking at the y value to find the x value. And so that tells me that we have f of 2 is 6. So what does that mean about g? Well, that means we're looking now for the g of x value that gives me 2. So now I'm looking and saying, hey, well, when g of x is 2, what's the x value that gives me that? 4. And there's your answer. So hope that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't.